All right, I got an interesting article that I want to react to today here on the Just Ballin' podcast. It is from Bleacher Report. NBA even reposted it on their website. It is one trade every team should propose on the first day of the 2025 offseason. So I'm intrigued to see if we're going to have like duplicates here. The cover photo is Anthony Edwards and Kevin Durant. So is it going to be some type of Minnesota Timberwolves Kevin Durant trade? Let's find out. Let's just hop right into this because I feel like there's just going to be some crazy moves in here. And I'm definitely going to point out the trades I do like. And I'm going to maybe break down why I don't think one team should do this deal and would even both teams say no, or maybe both teams will say yeah. So the first trade is, oh my God, okay. So it's Kevin Durant and the Atlanta Hawks for Zachary Risachet, Onyeka Okongwu, Terrence Mann, and the Sacramento Kings first round pick this year. Okay, so you know what is actually kind of crazy? I think Phoenix wouldn't be happy with this. I don't know. Okay, this is really making my head hurt because Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels aren't included. Dyson Daniels is the cover photo, so I thought he was included for a second. But I don't think you're losing sleep trading Onyeka Okongwu for what he is so far. I mean, he was drafted all the way back in 2020. Fine center, but you're not losing sleep over trading him away. Same with Terrence Mann. And honestly, same with the top 12 protected Kings pick. You're basically trading the Zachary Risachet asset for Kevin Durant. I mean, Risachet has been good as of late. I'm just wondering, like, I don't think this is what Phoenix would want. I think Phoenix would want somebody a little bit more NBA ready. Like, just I think could help them compete in the playoffs in 2026 with Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. Now, I like his versatility. I like his off-ball defense. And you get a Okongwu, and the center or the Suns centers have been like the worst positional group all year long. I don't know if this is like a trade that makes sense. I mean, I'm excited about Jalen Johnson and Kevin Durant and Trae Young. I mean, also looking at that team, they kind of need some more defense. I mean, I know you have Jalen Johnson and Dyson Daniels. Who's going to be your starting center next year? Is it going to be Larry Nance Jr. at this point? Are you going to bring back Clint Capella? I mean, then you can kind of think about things forward. Like after that, I mean, Trae Young and Kevin Durant is very fun offensively. I don't know how much different it would be from Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. They could just become the Suns of the East, but then again, the East is a much inferior conference, and you do have Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson, who are much more, I think, well-balanced around KD and Trae Young than like Ryan Dunn and Bradley Beal, or Grayson Allen and Bradley Beal right now. So I'm trying to think who would say no to this. It's just like, would you trade Risachet, who has shown a lot of promise, like kind of in the second half? Honestly, he's been showing flashes all year. I think he's a lock for all-rookie first team. It's just you'd be trading away a 19-year-old for Kevin Durant, who's 36, and he's still an incredible player, don't get me wrong, but I feel like, I don't know, it's just not the Kevin Durant that was in Brooklyn in 2022. It's not the Kevin Durant that was in OKC or Golden State. It's still really good Kevin Durant. I guess you would say yes to this if you're Atlanta, right? Like you trade away Risachet, Okongwu, Mann, and say the 13th pick in the draft for Kevin Durant. I'm wondering if the Suns would want this return, right? Like would they want to just say, Houston, can we please give you Kevin Durant? Give us our picks back. Could they get some better players here? I mean, I'm just thinking about like what Miami has to offer. And we have 29 other trades, so I don't want to spend too much time on this one, but it's interesting. I really don't know who would say no to this. You guys can let me know on the Spotify comments or at me on Twitter if you're listening on audio, or obviously the YouTube comments. Next up, we have the Boston Celtics, who are trading away Drew Holiday for Tobias Harris, Marcus Sasser, and a 2025 second round pick. Now, this is kind of crazy. I mean, the Boston Celtics as a whole are going to have to make, I think, eventually some tough financial decisions because they are a second apron team or close to it. And if you look at kind of their contracts going forward, like Jaylen Brown and Tatum are making $60+ million in 2 years. They're on the Supermax. I mean, they're going to be making $65 million each in 2029, which is kind of crazy. Drew Holiday, I mean, I made a video on my Soros channel, like the 15 worst contracts. He did make that because it's a pretty penny. I just don't know if Detroit needs to add a defender like Drew Holiday at this point of his career. I think you're trying to look for some offense around Cade Cunningham, and I think they're fine defensively with Asar Thompson and Ron Holland kind of going forward. Drew Holiday's a better defender than those guys. Maybe not this year than Asar. And I think you maybe want to get another big man rim protector. I don't think you need somebody like Drew Holiday. You're investing way too much there. I know you're not a big free agency destination, but I mean, this is, I guess, for more so Boston. I mean, it's really just ducking the luxury tax, the second apron going forward. You get Tobias Harris is expiring. You take a flyer on Marcus Sasser and you get a second round pick. To be honest, I don't think Boston blows up their core with that trade specifically. I think they need something better. I do wonder eventually who goes because we're going to see Tatum's contract go up by $20 million Drew Holiday goes up $2 million. Kristaps goes up by $1 million. Derek White goes up by $8 million next year. Pritchard's goes up. Sam Hauser's extension kicks in. Like, could he get traded in the offseason? Jaylen Brown goes up $4 million. This team's payroll jumps up $30 million next year. That is a lot of money. And we'll see if they even bring back Al Horford. I'm sure if he wants to play, they would bring him back. Yeah, you would think Drew Holiday's the odd man out because he's 34. You have Derek White. You have Peyton Pritchard. I just wonder what team would want Derek White at this moment. Or excuse me, that would want Drew Holiday in that contract. I don't think Detroit, like if they were hesitant to maybe go after Zach LaVine, or a CJ McCollum, who I think like those contracts are shorter than Drew's, I wonder if they would even want Drew Holiday. Brooklyn, them taking a flyer on Jabari Smith Jr. Okay, I like the premise of this idea. It's Jabari Smith Jr. and Jock Landale to the Nets, so the Rockets get off of the Jock Landale contract, even though it's non-guaranteed going forward. The Nets take a flyer on Jabari Smith Jr., which I also kind of like because the Rockets, I mean, they still have cap flexibility, but he could get extended this offseason. I highly doubt he does, unless they throw a Trey Murphy-type contract at him or a similar contract to what Jalen Green got last offseason, and they're willing to take a chance that he could reach his fullest potential in year 4 as a 22-year-old and hope he could be fully healthy and him and Şengün can work out. If not, though, I think a team like Houston that does have some floor spacing issues could go out and add a shooter like Cam Johnson. It doesn't cost you any draft capital here. I mean, I like that. I do. I like this for the Nets a whole lot. I think I'd rather get like Jabari Smith Jr. than a bunch of unknowns and some late first round picks and some really bad money for Cam Johnson. This you take on Mondale's like non-guaranteed contract, whatever, and you take the flyer on Jabari Smith Jr. I think like the Nets right now, like their young cores, it's not really exciting because you got Cam Thomas and Daron Sharp, but they're restricted free agents. Nick Claxton isn't maybe the most exciting asset in the world to build around. And Cam Johnson's probably going to get traded soon. I'm really excited to see how this Nets offseason goes because they're going to have multiple first round picks. They're most likely going to have a top 10 pick with their pick. And if they add somebody like Jabari Smith Jr., this young core can be exciting. I would make this trade 100% if I were the Nets. I wonder if Houston, I think Houston would at this point. It just depends where they view Jabari as a long-term asset on this team because they're paying Şengün. Jalen Green's contract extension kicks in. Eventually, Amen Thompson's going to get signed, I guess, next offseason, just as long as he doesn't fall off next year. And this team does have some good picks going forward, either via Brooklyn or via Phoenix. Next up, we have the Charlotte Hornets. They are trading for DeAndre Ayton for Josh Green and Yusuf Nurkic. Oh, man. I mean, I don't hate the idea of just trying to revive Ayton's career. I mean, he's a good, productive player in, like, for what he is, but he's going to be making a lot of money. I mean, this has not been a good culture and a good environment for some of these veterans lately. Could DeAndre Ayton, I mean, get his act together there? I mean, like DeAndre Ayton, I mean, I think he's been fine in Portland. Obviously, he's overpaid, but he's still just 26 years old. He's a good rebounder, a good screen setter. He's a body inside. I mean, they traded away Nick Richards. I would say if they do move Mark Williams this offseason, which I don't know if that's going to happen, because I don't know if they would extend him right now. I wouldn't mind them bringing in Ayton, but it's just another like big contract. Ayton only has 1 year left on the deal, $35 million next year. So I guess it's an expiring and then you can rework on an extension. It's just another body out there with Diabate, and then maybe they add somebody throughout the draft. I mean, for Nurkic and Green, why not? I mean, Portland, I guess you just get out of the Ayton money. Nurkic can become like, I mean, you return him to Portland. He doesn't have to play a ton for you. You could just waive him. And Josh Green is like a better wing, I would say, for this team than Matisse Thybulle. So I see the vision. This isn't the worst trade in the world. I just don't know if Ayton is the type of caliber that a Hornets like franchise at their current state needs to be bringing in at the moment. Next up, we have the Chicago Bulls. They get Rui Hachimura, Shake Milton, and a 2025 second for Nikola Vucevic. Honestly, if I'm Chicago, I mean, I would want a little bit more of an exciting asset than Rui Hachimura for this team. Like, I think I'd rather take a first round pick that's making $15 million less per year than Rui Hachimura that maybe has a higher ceiling. I mean, Rui's been a good player and a good connecting piece, and sometimes he can have these really good defensive games, and he's shooting 41% from three on the best volume of his career. I mean, Chicago doesn't have a ton of wings. They're a very guard-heavy team. So if that's like the best offer you can get, sure, I will do this. You can get a 2025 second. Shake Milton's just a throw-in. I wonder if Vucevic is like the center the Lakers want, because we all assume they wanted like the Nick Claxtons of the world, a Mitchell Robinson, a Mark Williams, a Jalen Duren. I don't know if Vucevic fits that mold. Another good shooter on this team, and you can now go 5 out, but you really lack rim protection, and this team kind of needs that defense, and you're really taking a drop off defensively with this deal. But Rui is, 27 years old. He could be the starting small forward. Matas could be the starting power forward, or vice versa. He's better than Patrick Williams. Not the worst idea in the world. Next up, we have the Cavs making a trade for, okay, it's just a salary dump here. It's Isaac Okoro for a 2029 second. I mean, I think, like, I do see the vision in this for the Cavs because the Cavs are about to get very expensive as a team. And I do wonder if they mention this in here. They don't mention Ty Jerome. But yeah, we are going to see. So if Evan Mobley wins DPOY, it would cause his max salary to jump up from 25% of the cap to 30% of the cap. And they're going to be a second apron team in 2026, unless they shed some cap, as they mentioned here, which I was talking about this a little bit about my free agency video, because they may not be able to bring back Ty Jerome, because let's say in 2 years from now, I mean, their cap space, or their team salary cap right now is 169 million. It's going to go up $40 million next year, and then about $50 million in 2 years from now, because Garland is going to be making $42 million in 2 years, Mitchell $50 million, Hunter's still on the books for $24 million, Allen's extension kicks in, goes up $8 million, Mobley's extension kicks in next year, Strus is under contract. I think you could find an Okoro salary dump and still compete next year. You're probably going to get priced out of Ty Jerome next year, just the way he's been playing. It's not the end of the world, but it's definitely going to hurt. Unless Ty Jerome takes a massive pay cut to come back here. I could see a team like Washington or Utah throwing a lot of money at him. So this is going to help them against the luxury tax. And if you don't have to give up any assets and you can get a second for Okoro, I mean, like, it kind of stinks. Like, Okoro was the 5th overall pick back in that 2020 draft. Still a good defender, but I think always has his limitations offensively. And then you hope eventually Jalen Tyson is just a much better fit for this team. So I see that. Next up, we have the Dallas Mavericks trading Klay Thompson and Daniel Gafford for Austin Reeves and Vanderbilt. Oh my God, the Mavericks and Lakers making a trade again would be hilarious. Would be. And honestly, I kind of like this trade for both teams. I think for the Lakers, like, I would try to get that center like Mark Williams without trading Austin Reeves. I think Austin Reeves could be so valuable to this team. And you're going to need some offense very soon when LeBron retires. And Reeves is as good as it kind of gets as like a third shot creator on your team, or even a secondary shot creator. Now that, like, LeBron's here, we're going to see him step up. He's got career highs in points, 3-point volume, assists this year. He's a good playmaker. He's very shifty. He's 26 years old. Yeah, he's going to need a new extension at the end of next year. And Gafford, he's like that athletic big man. We saw him thrive with Luka. You get Klay Thompson just to help out some shooting. This is Reeves and Vanderbilt for Klay and Gafford. I think I would do this if I were Dallas. I think I would. You roll with Lively. You roll with AD. We'll see if they get their first round pick this year. But I think getting Reeves could help you out a ton next year, just because Kyrie Irving is going to miss 75% of the year. Who knows how he's going to look when he comes back? He may not even come back next year, which is really sad. I think the Lakers would say no. I just don't think they want to trade Austin Reeves this summer. I think, like, if anything, they would offer Vanderbilt. They could offer or Rui or somebody like that for Gafford, and then include a future first round pick. Because Gafford is going to need, I think him and PJ are extension eligible this offseason or next offseason. Yeah, this offseason. That's an expiring deal. Oh man, the Mavericks future is like, it's not scary. I mean, it's not super positive, but it could go anywhere in which direction. Kyrie, AD, Gafford, Washington, like Klay, like a lot of their futures are up in the air. Denver trading Peyton Watson for Dante DiVincenzo. Peyton Watson and Zeke Naji for Dante DiVincenzo. Now, I look at Minnesota's point of view. Now, this is for Denver. I mean, for Denver, I don't know. Like, getting DiVincenzo, I think, is really nice for you. I want him back on my Knicks so badly, and he struggled to start off the year, was heating up, and then had that toe injury. He's been pretty good since he's came back, which is, like, I think what makes Minnesota a contender. I mean, a lot of you guys gave me flack for saying Minnesota was a contender and the Lakers were a pretender. I think they're on, what are they on, a 9-game winning streak at the moment? I think they're, or 9-0 since Julius Randle has come back. No, it's a lie. They are, they've won 5 in a row. But I think, like, DiVincenzo, we're getting the best form. I just don't think they need to add a Peyton Watson guy. Like, you have Jaden McDaniels. We'll see if they bring back Naw. You have Jalen Clark, I think, in that mold as well. I just don't know if taking on, like, the bad contract of Zeke Naji is really worth it. But this is for Denver. I also don't know if I would do this for Denver. Like, your defense isn't great, and Watson is a better defender than DiVincenzo. I get the microwave scoring from DiVincenzo off the bench and how much that can really change the game flow. I just don't think that's what they need to address this offseason. Like, I'm not like, I guess you get off the Zeke Naji contract without having to move a first, but your defense is definitely taking a hit. And yeah, like, they're elite when it comes to 3-point efficiency. So I don't know. I don't really know if that's worth it. Detroit traded for Lauri Markkanen. Okay, so whoa, this is, oh my God. I don't think they do this. Just kind of looking at it. So they get Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton. I think I mentioned it before, but Detroit, not a big free agency destination. If they want to maybe add a co-starter kid, it's most likely going to have to come in the trade market, or you never know. Maybe they do land a big name. Jaden Ivey would be going to Utah, which, I mean, Jaden Ivey, we'll see how far they are on like a contract amount because he can get extended. He looked very good for this team before he suffered that injury, which I don't even know. Like, I think he got reevaluated recently. I don't know if he's going to come back for the playoffs. I mean, he was playing very well this year, and I wish he was part of this team right now because they've been so entertaining. But you're moving Ron Holland, Isaiah Stewart, Tobias Harris, and a 2027 top 10 protected first. I think if you're like, I think you're fine trading Stewart and Tobias. I don't know if this team wants to move Ron Holland because I think he fits the identity of this team, and maybe Stewart as well. I just don't think Detroit would blow up their young core or like their chemistry and continuity for Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton. I think they'd wait for a better name on the market. I mean, Colin Sexton, is he that much? Like, do you need Colin Sexton with Malik Beasley on this team? And yes, this team could definitely add a little bit more offense. And like, you get Lauri Markkanen, and maybe this is a low point of Lauri Markkanen, is his trade value because the extension kicks in. He hasn't looked the best this year compared to his previous years in Utah. This one, I mean, it's interesting. I see this vision as well. I just don't think Detroit would give up all that. But I also don't think Utah would accept anything less. I mean, if I'm Utah, I'd probably do this. I think I would. Next up, we have the Golden State Warriors. They trade Moses Moody and Buddy Hield for Jakob Poeltl. So I guess you get off the Buddy Hield contract. You do have to move the Moses Moody asset, but I don't think you're going to lose sleep over trading away Moses Moody, even though he's a very good fit in this offense. Kuminga comes back, I believe, tonight or tomorrow, and I'm excited to see him just with Jimmy Butler and see how that works. And it's going to take a little bit of time for, I guess, him to get ramped up off that ankle injury. But Jakob Poeltl would be a good addition to the Warriors. They could definitely use some more size down low. And Poeltl's under contract for next year, $19.5 million player option in 2027. And he'll be around, 31 years old. So he's still, I think, at a good age for this team. And you, like I said, free up that Buddy Hield money down the line. I mean, I think if I'm Toronto, I would also think about this. I don't love Poeltl's fit long term, but he's a good player. But do I want like a Moses Moody? I guess it's really like, I mean, you have Ingram, you have Barnes. We got to see where Toronto ends up in the lottery. And then you have Jacoby Walter. You have RJ Barrett. They do have a lot of wings that I'm sure they want to prioritize offensively, and Grady Dick. I mean, I think Moses Moody's on a good contract. I'm trying to think who would say no to this. I think Toronto would say no to this. I think they'd want a little bit more in return than Moses Moody and Buddy Hield. All right, Houston also trading for Kevin Durant. They are trading Jabari Smith Jr., Reed Shepherd, Dylan Brooks, Jock Landale, and they get their 2027 first. And I know, like, Reese Shay's maybe a little bit more exciting long-term than Jabari Smith Jr. and Reed Shepherd, but I think this, like, comparing this to the Hawks package, I think this is better, honestly. Like, I think Reed has shown some flashes this year. He had some similarities to, like, Devin Booker at Kentucky. Now, they need to add some defense, and getting Dylan Brooks, I think, would be great for Phoenix. You get Jock Landale, I think he's like at best, he's a backup big, and they still need to address starting center, and maybe that's why you may like the Hawks return with a Kungwu more. But I think, one, I'd much rather have my first round pick in 2027, just a little bit of collateral, God forbid anything happens, rather than maybe it's the 13th pick from the Suns in this draft. I get Jabari Smith Jr., and I think there are some fun lineup iterations next year with Jabari Smith and Ryan Dunn and Devin Booker, and you can kind of help each other complement in that three-man lineup with Bradley Beal, who I think Bradley Beal deserves a little bit more credit defensively. That might be it this year. I don't know, though. Maybe not. And I kind of like this trade return a little bit more. I mean, for Houston, you win Kevin Durant. I think I'd rather have Kevin Durant than Cam Johnson. Trading Reed Shepherd hurts. I think you're fine moving that 2027 Suns first. Trading Dylan Brooks does hurt. You're fine moving Landale, but you sliding Kevin Durant there is going to help you out so much offensively. I don't know how Jalen Green and Kevin Durant complement each other, but Jalen Green gets some really good looks with the defense so focused on KD. And now we're running out like Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, Kevin Durant, Tari Eason, Shane Kuhn. That has a good blend offensively and defensively, and I think could be exciting. And this team needs to add some three-point shooting. And if they're not, I think, going to commit to Reed Shepherd as a high-volume guy, let's use him as leverage in a Kevin Durant trade. So I like this return for Phoenix more than Houston. And I also think Kevin Durant, I don't know, like he stays in the Western Conference. It's so tough to win. I wonder if Dallas also makes a trade for KD. Oh my God. I don't even know what that would cost. Oh, jeez. I mean, like, it's cool to see Kyrie, KD, and AD, but Kyrie's hurt, which kind of sucks. Either way, I like KD in Houston, but I see the reasoning for Atlanta, just because I think that return could be better than what Miami can offer. And the Eastern Conference, I mean, it's not wide open, but you can easily get to like a 4 seed compared to the Western Conference. Indiana, I think like Indiana could be a Kevin Durant trade. I don't know if it'd be like a Miles Turner sign trade, Mathurin sign trade. They're not moving Nembhard. I wouldn't. But like Neesmith, Jarris Walker, multiple first could be in that. I think Indiana could be a sneaky KD trade, depending on what they think their ceiling is. And shout out to Halliburton for that game-winning 4-point play. That was sick. So Cam Johnson going to the Pacers. For Jarris Walker, Aaron Neesmith, and Johnny Furphy. I think you're fine moving Furphy. I mean, this is like the Walker asset at this point. It does stink. He was like a top 10 pick. And I just want to like pull up the Pacers defensive rating this year. Like they're about league average. I mean, I like Aaron Neesmith. I think he's a very good contract. But like, if you don't think Walker is in your long-term plans and you just think it's just not going to work out with this fit with Siakam, Johnny Furphy, it's a flyer in this trade. If you're basically upgrading the Neesmith role to Cam Johnson, I mean, I'd probably do that. I would. I do worry about like this team's closing defense and how does like Cam Johnson look out there with Benedict Mathurin. But I think, yeah, it really just depends on what your vision is on Walker, who I still think could be a good player in this league. But I like the idea of like the Nets adding a Jarris Walker or Jabari Smith Jr. So the Clippers are adding Kevin Durant. Oh my God, what the? Okay. For Kawhi Leonard, Cam Christie, and a 2031 first round pick, the Suns are receiving, and a 2030 swap. I mean, that 2031 Clippers unprotected pick could have some value. Oh my God. I don't think the Suns would do this, but I mean, Kawhi, he doesn't play back-to-backs, which is fine. It's tough for him to play multiple games in a row. At times he looks like the Kawhi of old. Sometimes he doesn't. He's 33 years old, but his body may be more like he's 40 years old just because of the knees. I'm intrigued to see him how he looks in either the playing tournament or the playoffs this year. Like what version of Kawhi we're going to get. I mean, you're still getting a high caliber player that I think is going to age a little bit worse than Kevin Durant has aged. You get a flyer on Cam Christie, which, all right, it's kind of like a lottery ticket. You're getting a 2031 first, unprotected, and a 2030 swap, which I guess you can use over time. This is for the Clippers side of things. If I'm the Clippers, KD and Harden again with Norman Powell and then all their other pieces, I'm intrigued. I am, because KD's been at least a little bit more reliable. I would like to see that this year. I just worry about how Kevin Durant's going to age, and then you're mortgaging your future for a team that isn't very young, that has a very old like top two of Harden and Kawhi or Harden and KD. I think there's some risk to that. I don't know if any team wins out of this. I don't know what team. Maybe the Clippers do. Maybe. I mean, I think the Suns need as much depth as they can get from a Kevin Durant trade than like Kawhi, who you never know is going to play, and then some first round picks 6 years from now. The Lakers are trading for Walker Kessler, for Dalton Connect and a 2031 first. This is basically the Mark Williams deal. I wonder if there would need to be a 2030 swap in there. I think Kessler is maybe not better than Mark Williams, but at least a little bit more reliable, and I trust his health a little bit more than Mark Williams. And I think this is realistic this offseason if like Kessler can be extended, and maybe him and the Jazz are going to be too far apart on an extension. He gets traded to the Lakers, boom, he can maybe get his money from the Lakers. And I think the Lakers have seen Luka work with so many bigs in the past and most recently with Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively, that they're going to see the value in Walker Kessler, who is young, who's younger than Luka Doncic. I mean, I don't think he was a sophomore because he went to UNC and then transferred to Auburn. But we look at Walker, he's 23 years old. So yeah, I think the Lakers should do this. For the Jazz, I think it's worth it. I mean, I think you're trying to not continue to bottom out, but I don't think he's like a blue chip asset, Walker Kessler. And we'll see if they end up drafting like a Kaman Maluach or wherever they end up in the lottery. Because Flagg and Kessler intrigues me next year. But we'll see where they end up in the lottery. Memphis is trading Brandon Clark, John Conchar, and 2 second-round picks for Keldon Johnson. I don't really think I want Keldon Johnson's contract. I mean, Marcus Smart didn't really work out for them. They traded away Jake LaRavia. I don't know. I mean, Keldon Johnson is probably better than Jake LaRavia, but by much. And then you're moving some big man depth. I mean, you get off the Conchar money and some seconds. I mean, there is the Jaren Jackson Jr. Supermax looming if he wins Depoy. And then Mike Bain's contract, John Morant's contract. This team is a little bit expensive, so that could save you some money in the long term, but not by much because Keldon Johnson's making a decent amount of money. I don't think that's what Memphis should do with their assets. Like, they're a deep team asset-wise, and moving all your assets for, like, a Marcus Smart salary dump and a Keldon Johnson pickup, I don't love. Kevin Durant trade here again. We do have Kevin Durant going to the Heat for Khalil Ware. Okay, intrigues me from Phoenix. Terry Rozier, ew. Duncan Robinson, ew. In terms of assets. I mean, Terry Rozier as a player is also not great right now. And you get a 2025 first from Golden State. That could be like 19 or 20, and a 2031 unprotected first. I mean, this is for Miami. If Miami can get Kevin Durant for this, oh my God, I'm doing this any day of the week. You're having Kevin Durant. You're keeping Jovic and Jaquez. Bam and Hero are there with KD. Yeah, Davion Mitchell's on this team. I am 100% doing this trade. I'm fine trading that Golden State pick. Hurts a little bit trading that 2031 first, but you still have Hero and Bam, and we'll see if they can maybe add anybody else down the line. They're a big free agency destination. If I'm Phoenix, this is a terrible return. This is a terrible return. You need better players. You need defense, and Ware is a good defender, and I know they have a terrible center rotation. I just don't know if Khalil Ware is a blue chip prospect, like center prospect. I think if you're getting like, I don't know, like you're not getting Derek Lively, but I'm just trying to think of like centers in the past. Like, I mean, Chet would be too valuable, but like I'd rather have Walker Kessler than Khalil Ware, I think. At least for this version of the Suns, with Bradley Beal getting up there in age, you don't have your short-term first-round picks. I just think out of like all the Kevin Durant trades, I'd probably go like Houston 1. I'd probably go Atlanta 2, and this 3 for the Suns return. Milwaukee's getting Jalen Smith for Pat Connaughton in 2 seconds. I think that's fine. Brook Lopez is a free agent. Bobby Portis could be a free agent. I think getting Jalen Smith is a good flyer for this team, and you're not moving any first, and you finally get out of the Pat Connaughton money. I would do that if I were Milwaukee. All right, here we go. We have another Kevin Durant trade for Jaden McDaniels, Rob Dillingham, Dante DiVincenzo, and the Pistons first round pick this year. We'll say that's like 18. Yeah, this is probably my favorite return for Phoenix because, like I said, you need defense. Jaden McDaniels has been on a great stretch as of late, and I think could complement Devin Booker so well. Dante DiVincenzo, maybe a little redundant with like Grayson Allen at times there and Rob Dillingham, but I'm bringing Dante in with open arms, and I'd love to have that asset and what you can get maybe out of Rob Dillingham off the bench. And then maybe you flip one of those guys for a big man. So Brooklyn also gets involved. They get Mike Conley and a second from Minnesota, most likely to get them under the apron. And yeah, I think for Phoenix, this is probably my favorite return for them. As for Minnesota, like you're running out Anthony Edwards, you're running out Naz Reid, Kevin Durant, Gobert is not too much size. Like, where's Randall and all this? Can they bring back Nickeil Alexander-Walker? I mean, I'd rather have Randall off this team and Jaden McDaniels still on this team. It's just Kevin Durant's 36. Can him and Anthony Edwards win a title together? I don't know, but I would want to watch them play every night together because that could be so much fun. The Pelicans are trading Zion Williamson. Oh my God. For Jabari Smith Jr., Reed Shepherd, Tari Eason, and Jock Landale. Okay. There's such an interesting debate about Zion Williamson this offseason because he's been incredible. Oh my God, he's been so good since he's came back from injury this year and that little suspension he had. And he's not playing really back-to-backs, but he's been so efficient over his like last 20-ish games that he's been like a part of this team again. And you could just see the man that could be a top 15 player in the league if he can stay healthy. He's playing just 28 minutes a night and is averaging 25 points, 5 assists, 7 rebounds, 59% from the field. He had like a triple-double the other night, and of course Shaq had to downplay it. His per 36, he'd be averaging 31 points per game. He's 24, and you can get out of the contract anytime because of the way that there's it's structured. But it's like, do you trade Zion at his highest value? Like, what if he gets hurt next year and he may not get to that value again, right? You're getting Jabari Smith Jr., Reed Shepherd, Eason, and Wandale around Trey Murphy, McCollum, Herb Jones, DeJounte Murray, Bruce Brown, Jordan Hawkins, and your first round pick this year. That's like a deep team, man. That's really deep. But can any of those guys be to Zion's peak? Probably not. So it's just really taking the risk. As for Houston, doesn't help their floor spacing. Him and Şengün, I think, could complement each other well. And then you'd also have Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, and you like Cam Whitmore, you figure it out. I mean, if I could somehow get a first here from Phoenix, and I'm getting Jabari, Reed, and Eason, Wandale on a first, I think I'm doing this if I'm the Pelicans. That is a good return, and your young core gets even better. I'd even mentioned Yves Missi before. Sheesh. Yeah, I think long and hard about that. That's a tough one. The Knicks add Dalton Knecht, Rui Hachimura, and Dorian Finney-Smith for OG Anunoby. I mean, this helps out the Lakers defense, and I think if I'm the Lakers, I would think about this. I think I would try to get also a big man this offseason, but if I'm the Knicks, I mean, Finney-Smith and Hachimura are fine defenders, not in the tier of OG. OG, and I mean, he's a little bit older than Rui. I don't think actually, because Rui was a multi-year man, I believe, out of Gonzaga. Rui is 27. What is OG? 28? He just turned 28 recently. No, he's 27. So they are the same age. I mean, you get Dalton Knecht, who you hope could just, I mean, not a good defender, but a good 3-point shooter. I mean, you're going to make me think about this one just because the Knicks bench is horrible. and you're getting 3 like good rotational guys for 2026 for one guy. It's just your best defender. No, man, I guess, I mean, that OG contract gets scary as well. You would make me think about this. You really would. I don't know, though. I think the Knicks, I don't know if this makes you any better, but it makes you deeper. God forbid injuries happen and guys are getting older. It's just, like, yeah, you get out of the later years of the OG contract. It's just, I don't know if your ceiling, I think it goes down without OG for what he can be for you in the playoffs. The Thunder and Lauri Markkanen, why? For Nikola Topic, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Kenrich Williams, Ousmane Dieng, a 2025 first, the Miami one, which could be pick 15, or maybe it's a 2026 first, and a 2026 first round pick via OKC. I mean, yeah, adding Markkanen to a core of Shea, J-Dub, Chet, Hartenstein, Dort, Caruso, Wallace, and others doesn't seem fair to the rest of the NBA. I get that. I think if you're making a trade like this, you want to get somebody that's been proven as like a number 1 or number 2 in the playoffs. I don't think that's Kevin Durant. I don't know who would become available that would be like that. I'm like kind of going through teams really quickly. Like, say if Donovan Mitchell, right, was ever available, like last year's version of the Cavs, not available. So that's not happening. But I'm saying like somebody in that tier, like a bona fide stud. Devin Booker, right? I don't think Anthony Davis. Like somebody in that tier, I would do that. Lauri Markkanen, there's a lot of risk to that. I mean, I think it hurts trading Aaron Wiggins. I just don't think Sam Presti would make this deal. I mean, I think, yeah, you're not losing sleep over any of these guys going for Markkanen, but I think it's a lot. That is a lot. If I'm Utah, I would do this in a heartbeat. Orlando gets Trae Young. I just don't think it ever happens because they're in the same division. But for Anthony Black, Cole Anthony, KCP, Tristan Da Silva, the Nuggets first round pick this year, and Orlando's 2027 first. If I'm Orlando, I'm doing this trade 100%. I just don't think Atlanta would do this trade. Atlanta does get, 2 first round picks. What you can get out of Anthony Black, Cole Anthony can help you out offensively. KCP, what see as an asset. Tristan Da Silva. I mean, I just like Anthony Black has taken a little bit of a step back this year from where people thought he can go. That I don't think there's like a blue chipper that I'm getting back for Trae Young. You're getting a lot of quantity, but not a lot of quality in this trade. And once again, like if I'm Orlando, I'm doing this trade because I think you need someone that can play make. You can move Suggs to the 2. Suggs can complement Trae Young very nicely on the defensive end of the floor. And you need somebody that could shoot, and Trae Young could shoot. I don't think Atlanta does that. Philadelphia trading Paul George to Milwaukee and 2 seconds for Kuzma, Portis, and Pat Connaughton. I mean, yeah, I would do this if I were Philadelphia, but no, unless you're attaching like the 5th or 6th overall pick in this draft, who wants Paul George's contract? Milwaukee is not doing that trade. And then does that just put him right back in the luxury or in the second apron? I don't think so. I mean, yeah, if this is 2019 and I have Dame, Paul George, and Giannis, I would think about it. I don't really want to touch 2025 Paul George. Phoenix, they were trading Kevin Durant to Dallas. All right, one last Kevin Durant idea. This is the Dallas one. Clay, PJ, Daniel Gafford, Max Christie in a 2029 first. Once again, I think I'd do that if I were Dallas. I think just getting the depth there. And I mean, I don't love Clay as an asset, but I like Max Christie as an asset a whole lot. PJ and Gafford you'd have to rework extensions for, but you need to upgrade your defense. And having those 2 guys defensively around Booker and Beal could just be great. Like Booker at the 1, Beal at the 2, Max at the 3, PJ at the 4, Gafford at the 5. That could be a top 6 seed in the Western Conference, and you get the Lakers first round pick in 2029 from the Luka trade. I mean, if I'm Dallas, I mean, I would not want to move Max Christie in this deal. But say you had, say fully healthy, you had Kyrie. Can't believe they traded Grimes. Kyrie, I don't know. It would be like Caleb Martin or Kyrie, Najee Marshall, Kevin Durant, AD, Lively. Like that's amazing. But that team is not going to be healthy. Next up, we have Portland trading Jeremy Grant to the Heat for Nikola Jovic, Terry Rozier in a 2026. I am doing that. I am getting off the last 3 years of Jeremy Grant's contract. I would so do that if I were the Portland Trailblazers. I don't care about Rozier's last year. I would just buy him out. And I'll take a flyer on Jovic. I would do that. I don't think Miami would want Grant's contract. Sacramento trading DeMar DeRozan and a second round pick for Andrew Nembhard and Jarris Walker. What? What? Don't show a Pacers fan this. Yeah, I think if you're going after Kevin Durant, maybe. But for DeMar DeRozan in 2025 for Nembhard and Jarris Walker, I am not doing that. But if I'm Sacramento, oh my God, I'd do that in a heartbeat. San Antonio adds Isaiah Stewart for Keldon Johnson. I'd also do that. I just don't think Detroit would want to do that as well. Toronto, Jakob Poeltl goes to LA for Dalton Connect and Jared Vanderbilt. Now, that's a trade I would do. If I were the Raptors, you take the flyer on Jared Vanderbilt. You get the rookie contract of Dalton Connect. And I think I like that return a little bit more than like the Moses Moody, Buddy Hield return going forward. Utah, They are trading Lauri Markkanen and Jordan Clarkson to Miami for Kel'el Ware, Nikola Jovic, Duncan Robinson, Terry Rozier, the Warriors' first-round pick, and a second. I think I would do this. I mean, I don't love Robinson and Rozier, but it's funny because I feel like the Heat are giving up more here for Markkanen, and you get Clarkson. Or I guess you get Clarkson, but they're giving up more for Markkanen than they gave up for KD earlier. If I'm Utah, though, I'd probably do this as well. I'm okay bottoming out and getting a little bit younger. Now, I don't know what a Jovic extension would look like, and I don't really think Robinson and Rozier have a purpose on this team. But I like the idea of having Kel'el Ware and Walker Kessler in your rotation next year. And lastly, the Wizards are trading for Zion Williamson. Oh my God. Marcus Smart, Corey Kispert, Keyshawn George, and a 2030 first-round pick, top 20 protected vehicle in state from the Chris Paul trade. Yeah, what? I am doing that trade if I'm the Washington Wizards. I get to watch Zion and Alex Sarr in that front court, and what if they're able to add a Cooper Flagg or Dylan Harper? I mean, what's like the asset that you're really risking here? I mean, like Corey Kispert and Keyshawn George are nice assets, but for the upside of Zion Williamson, I would do that in a heartbeat. That's so much, I feel like, less than what the Rockets had to give up of Eason, Shepard, and Jabari Smith just on guys that are proven. Yeah, I would so do that if I were Washington, but I feel like Zion would go for a lot more than that if the Pelicans were going to ever trade him. So that was 30 trades. I hope you guys did enjoy me kind of rambling about these ideas for the last 35 minutes. If you guys are on YouTube, you can let me know in the comments what you guys think about these. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I really appreciate a rating and review. We're almost at 100 ratings on Spotify, so it might take just a few seconds to go out and hit that just 5 stars or leave a rating. It can really help the podcast grow and can go a long way. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.